going to speak about is first of all, I'd like to thank the opportunity provided by the organizers, Trade Hyderabad, on this Stop Obesity campaign. I think it's a fantastic idea for people who are unrelated to obesity to come together and try to bring fellow professionals together and try to address this issue today. I think that's a great effort. I think we commend you for that. And ongoing, I think any support you need, we will be happy to extend that support. So if you look at this first slide, you will see the Statue of Liberty, nothing new for anyone. But the slight change is that you will see it's a little bit obese. Instead of holding a torch and a book, instead it's holding a burger and maybe a soft drink. So this is the changing environment that we are going through, lifestyle, the food choices, and n number of things that are happening which are leading to obesity today. So this is an age-old slide. We all have seen this several times. As you've seen that the ancient caveman and gradually Australopithecus, Homo sapien, now we have become a McDonald's man. Right? This is where we're going. So the meat of the topic is that we are only today talking about obesity, but my topic is little in depth than that. It's obesity in combination with diabetes, which is a diabesity. That is a new term that we are dealing with today, which now has become global. The diabesity is so global, now we call it globesity, right? So this is a major issue that we are facing. And the combination is very detrimental to the health of people and the community as well. Once upon a time, we used to say this problem was tip of the iceberg. Now we call it snout of the shark. It is just waiting to bite you, right? So it's a complex disease. Earlier, someone was asking what are the reasons, and Dr. Garu was just mentioning multiple reasons for obesity. Naturally, there is a behavioral pattern. Now, IPL season is coming up. Many sporting events are coming up. We are all on Sundays, sit comfortably on the sofa, eat nice hot fast food or junk food, and just watch television. That's a behavioral pattern. And next is the genetic, which we cannot control, which is what we get from our parents, but then we can still be a little cautious and careful, we can control that. Then lastly but not least is the environmental factors. Today, the work hours, someone was just saying that they're working 12 hours a day, sitting in front of a computer in a software job. There's hardly any work, and then you're bored to death. So naturally, you're eating all sorts of chips, nuts, crackers, you name it, whatever comes to your hand, you're eating. So that is the environmental factor which is also causing you to gain weight. Go ahead. So when you look at the degrees of obesity, now we have normal body mass index, which is going to be 18 to 25 according to international standards, but in India or Asia Pacific zone, it is now down to 23. Above 23, we call them overweight. Go ahead. And then up to from 23 to 27 and a half is considered overweight. From 27 and a half, we enter into obese phase. So from 27 and a half to 32 and a half, we are in the obese, then moderate obese, then severe obese. So as we go along, then we get into the next grades, which is the morbid obesity. So basically what we're talking about is that as the body mass index increases, the risk of multiple medical conditions will go up as well, substantially. So what are the reasons? One, yes, the commonly consumed kind of food material. In the end of the day, we're all tired. I'm sure many of us, we try to consume some of this at least once in a while. How many of us enjoy budgies here? Everybody, right? So it's a common thing. It's a common culprit. We all do this, right? Although we speak about it, not to do it. So go ahead. And one second. This is a very interesting slide. If you look at it, there's one side is the staircase, one side is the escalator. There's hardly anyone on the staircase, right? The reason is that when you're given an option, you always will take the easiest way possible. If there's an elevator, we'll take the elevator. If an escalator, we'll take the escalator. Very few actually make a conscious effort to get onto the staircase, even in your day-to-day life. So our choices also control the way we progress in our life and our health. Go back, please. So it's a slide I actually come to like quite a bit. Once upon a time, this is a goddess of fertility, very obese lady, and the person was extremely skinny. The caveman, they used to worship. Now we are obese and we are worshipping size 0. right? This is what's happening. Go ahead. So there are a bunch of complications because of obesity. Now, when we counted them, there are almost 53 different conditions that are happening because of obesity. We have only listed the most common ones here. If you look at from top to bottom you have the diabetes, hypertension, stroke, heart attacks. You have the fatty liver disease, gallbladder stones. You have pancreatitis, multiple cancers. I'm sure Dr. Gar will speak more on the cancer part. Organs like your breast, uterus, cervix, colon, small intestine, large intestine, you name it. Every single organ is getting affected because of obesity and leading to cancers. Go ahead. In India, what's happening? By 2025, we'll have 87 million diabetics. Million being 10 lakhs, that's 870 lakh people with diabetes. Every fifth diabetic in the world will be an Indian. We will beat China on this one. Definitely. Go ahead. So, diabetes is a major problem of the 21st century. More than 10% of our world, our nation's population is overweight or obese, and that is what is leading to this particular reason. What are the reasons? Again, Dr. Ratnam Garu touched base on this one. High carb consumption. We have a genetic variation where we do tend to gain weight around the waist and the hip, which tends to be the visceral fat. Visceral fat is metabolically active, leading to many health conditions. And one interesting finding is that we come from a generations of starvation where we didn't have enough food. Now there's abundance of food. Back then, about 1930s, 40s, we didn't have food. So that's when the hormones like ghrelin have been overly generated in our body, wherein when we don't eat, these hormones can control your metabolic rate, wherein you don't spend that much calories. So although you could be eating less, you don't burn. So it equates, and eventually even a person who's gone on a crash diet can actually gain weight. It's a very interesting phenomenon. Along with the ghrelin, it has some sister hormones like adiponectin, leptin, many other hormones that are doing the trick. Okay, that gets too scientific, I'll just keep it simple. So all this is leading to increased morbidity, mortality, a lot of health conditions. So this is the saddest part, what we get to see in our practice. I have patients at age 13 and 14 with type 2 diabetes. Believe me, it's type 2. When I saw this kid, 143 kilos, 14-year-old with diabetes, I said, this is a type 1 diabetes because he's so young. Lo and behold, we do the investigations, everything points to type 2. Type 2 diabetes, which is a lifestyle issue, overweight, excess consumption, this is what, and insulin resistance. This is what's happening in the body. So excess weight is causing diabetes in children as young as 13 and 14. And I have seen a young man who is a software employee, 29-year-old, 130 kilos, had already had his first heart attack. Unmarried. Now, what's his future going to be, right? So, top 10s, we are in right there behind China in terms of number of people with diabetes in the world, right behind China. Next. And healthcare expenditure-wise, see, diabetes and obesity, they're causing tremendous amount of expenditure across the globe. And diabetes, if you look at it from 2000, this is International Diabetes Federation data. From 2000 to 2011, you can see that the many people is going up substantially, millions of people, around 350 plus million people in the world with diabetes at the moment. So, prediction, 550 million by 2030 in the world. That's almost about 1/5 of the population in the world will have diabetes. So anyone diabetologist here, you'll have a lot of work to do. Right? What are the reasons? There are many scientific reasons. I'll just try to keep it simple here. Keep going. There are many reasons, problems with the glucose metabolism, and a lot of things like that. But this is an interesting slide I want all of us to pay attention to here. Just a moment. See, typically when we have impaired blood glucose, when we do the glucose tolerance test, we say that, okay, the lab person says, sir, looks like you're getting into diabetes. Okay? But interestingly, just remember this area, okay? This is the area where the lab person or the doctor is saying, listen, looks like you're getting into diabetes. You need to be cautious. Go to the next slide. Now look at this one. but when you get into type 2 diabetes, this is the pancreatic beta cells, number of cells you have. Okay, normal, obese person, and a type 2 diabetes. Okay, go to the next slide. This is here where we want to spend some time. Normal glucose tolerance test. This is 100% of your cells, your insulin producing pancreatic cells. This is impaired glucose tolerance. This is where the lab person or the doctor is warning you, saying, hey, you may get into diabetes. But look at the number of cells. It's already down by 80%. Your insulin producing pancreatic cells are already down by 80% by the time it is being picked up by lab or any diagnostic measures we have today. That means what we consider as the early diabetes, it's actually a late stage in our diabetes. We are already late. So the parameters are changing. Tomorrow the criteria will change here and very shortly, wherein the diagnostic criteria for diabetes will change. Okay? So diabetes now is occurring in lower BMI at very much lower body mass index, and we need to naturally take much more aggressive measures. Why am I spending a little bit more time on diabetes? Is that obesity in itself, it's there, it's manageable, but the downline of medical conditions are the ones that are literally killing people. So that's why we are spending a little bit more time on obesity and diabetes.